the craziest Twitter wars between Jon Jones and Daniel Cormier. Not content to beat each other up in the cage, Daniel Cormier and Jon Jones have been warring over social media for the past 5 years. Let's take a look at some of the best back and forths, starting with their latest spat in 2018 that started over the UFC suggesting Cormier might be the greatest of all time if he beats Stipe Miocic at UFC 226. Jones says he has more of a platform than DC, even after suspensions, and says Cormier dreams of him at night. Then Cormier fires back, calling Jones a cheat, and then he roasts him about not marrying his longtime girlfriend and calling her a baby mama. Jones says Cormier has convinced himself that he lost because of PEDs. He follows up saying he will be cleaned up, jokingly saying he cheated the first 2 times. It certainly wasn't the first time these two tore into each other on Twitter. They also had this crazy back and forth, leading up to their rematch at UFC 214 on July 29, 2017. DC gets after Jones about roiding and not being able to KO OSP. And Jones hits him back, asking if he really thinks he did steroids before he beat him. Cormier chimes in after Jones' suspension ends and asks him to nicely not screw it up again. Jones says Cormier's roast was a bit soft. Jones tells Cormier about a list of comments on DC's Instagram. DC tells Jones to dance for him and fires back with a meme including Jones' comments on Instagram. A solid one for Cormier. Jones comes clean about his erectile dysfunction in response to Cormier's comments and says he shouldn't be talking about another man's nether regions like that. Jones follows up saying Cormier is going to really hate him at the end. Now they are roasting each other's legs. Jones keeps coming this time on the genetics, roasting Cormier's hairline and his lack of abs. Towgate anyone? DC with the always classic, someone's mad. Then DC lightly coming in, saying Jones is creeping on him. Jones is back again, saying DC only thinks he lost because of PEDs. Spoiler, he does fail another drug test, but that's a whole different story. But we think the best shade that Jones and Cormier ever threw at each other was after Jones vs. Cormier 2 was cancelled the first time due to a Cormier injury. Jon went on to face Ovince St. Preux at UFC 197 on April 23, 2016. And an offer from Cormier to help OSP train quickly turned the situation ugly. Jones comes in with what seems like a kind comment, but we know they are trolling. Now he begs DC to explain his training with OSP. DC answers that his whole team doesn't like him and he would hope for anyone to beat him. Jones asks him to clarify if he's injured or hurt, very deep. DC says that if it were serious, he would be there to fight him. This one has some great errors. We can all agree Jones lunches with poor form, and he's not winning a decision again. DC ends it calling him a junkie. DC comes in with a hide your kids, hide your wife reference.
Fingerprints and all, you are so dumb. You are really dumb, for real.
Hits him with a coke joke and threatens Mortal Kombat all in one tweet. Priceless. Cormier roasts Jones with the running from a crime scene and hitting a pregnant woman with his car. He follows up with the fight declining coward comments. DC gets super serious, saying he hasn't feared anyone. It's DC, it's believable, he's very scary. And ends it saying Jones' day will come. He follows up saying he is a kind man, not calling Jones a coward for being injured and moving their last fight, telling Jones he's a big hypocrite. Jones makes a tampon joke, a shin joke, and says DC can catch him later, he has to go work out. In an interview with RT Sports, Jones declared he wanted to beat Cormier twice more, taking both the light heavyweight and heavyweight belts off him. That quickly devolved into an argument on whether steroids affected the result of their fight at UFC 214. On September 19th, USADA announced a 15-month suspension for Jones, making him free to compete in November of 2018. Cormier reacted in disgust, telling USADA to stop waking him up at 6 in the morning for samples. Of course, John couldn't pass up an opportunity to rub salt in the wound, which led to the long-winded exchange on Instagram. In October, rumors started to swirl that double champ Cormier's light heavyweight belt would be stripped, opening the door to an immediate title shot for Jones. Did DC and Bones comment on this? Of course they did, with Cormier laying into Jones over his USADA suspension, which was shortened by 30 months after Jones provided a substantial assistance in catching other PED users. If Jones wins his fight against Gustafsson and Cormier wins against Derek Lewis, do you want to see Cormier and Jones rematch? Let us know in the comments and who we should do beef wars on next.